Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome all of you back to another Bloodborne OST reaction. And, well, okay. Okay. So, you may have also caught on for the last number of videos where I've talked about Bloodborne. I've talked a lot about some of the slightly not as good fights from the Living Failures to Rom to Dark Beast Paul. Some of these fights, by the way, aren't really that bad, and a lot of the OSTs for them are actually the Living Failures OST is top tier material. I wish I was joking about that. And it makes more sense for what the fight is supposed to be. And Rom is a bit more interesting, I suppose. Some of them are borderline more interesting than probably in other cases. And there's at least 3 other boss fights that are sort of just not that good, but they are sort of redeemed by more through gameplay exploration and just sort of the horrors that await those who dare take the blood. From the One Reborn to the Amygdala to... I don't mind the Amygdala boss fight, it's just sort of there, I suppose. It was more missed potential, I would say, the Amygdala fight. But then, of course, the Witches of Hemwick, the Celestial Emissary, and, well, the subject for today's video. But this, again, like I said, the Celestial Emissary is redeemed by the fact that it's basically just... it's an appetizer for what lies beneath. But then, nothing, however, can prepare you for just the frustration and the nauseating knowledge of the Micolash boss fight. Yes, I am just going to straight up admit, ladies and gentlemen, yes, Micolash is fantastic for lore, for world building, but the fight... There's a reason why they... Listen, they tried to do the Dragon God boss fight again in Dark Souls with the Bed of Chaos, and people didn't like it in Demon Souls, and they hated it even more in Dark Souls, so they stopped doing it. Micolash is a case where they've never brought this idea for a boss fight back. Because if you don't know, well, the fight consists of chasing Micolash. You corner him into a room, and you have to just sort of attack him for a couple of times, then he will run away and you have to catch up to him again. I don't really know who thought this was a good idea, and I don't really know how this ties into Micolash's sort of his story or anything like that. The best part for... the best thing about Micolash is his the cage he wears during his appearance. Also, for the fact that he alludes to the Kos, the Great One of the Sea, which we will get to much later on. Trust me, because that deserves an entire essay of its own, let alone a video. But again, whilst the fight sucks, and it probably would have been better if Micolash wasn't even a boss fight, he does get his own soundtrack. So here we go. I want to use the term melody for this fight because if you are familiar about what the cage helmet is supposed to be when it comes to Micolash, basically Because Micolash is like the second hunter you fight in Bloodborne, and his whole thing is that he doesn't want to be killed because it means he'll wake up in the real world. So the cage is more designed as like a coping mechanism. It's designed to keep the thoughts of its user completely surrounded. It is basically to block out reality, and possibly even suggesting the idea that Micolash is just an animated corpse when you actually fight him. And him running away, you could argue him running away makes sense because he doesn't want to die or anything like that. But then again, Micolash is not exactly what you call helpless when you fight him one-on-one, so I don't really know why we can't just fight him man-to-man. But again, the whole melody between the pianos and the violins, it's designed to cope. It's a world of his creation, not the world that's created him. I love also the fact that the boss doesn't really have a climax. It doesn't really have like a spectacular moment where just like everything comes to an end. It's more down to I'd say like the boss fight. It only really amounts to really one unescapable truth, and that is that your fantasies and it will only ever last for as long as it can until eventually you are taken down. It was even something that Gascoigne said early in the day, is that you'll become one of these beasts sooner or later. And Micolash is a beast in of himself. I think I think again that sort of idea for design is fantastic. I also think the ideas that went into Micolash are very, very good for story. But I also like to imagine that probably there could have been other ways to have conveyed like Micolash's sort of terror and horror. Maybe you could have done something on the lines of, let's say, I don't know, you find Micolash and he's just sort of like enclosed in like a library sort of well, and he's just trying to climb out of it, and he thought, no, don't put me in here with him. Well, if that's how it be, then I'll simply have to keep the dream alive. There's a lot that, again, there's I could sit here and do an entire like essay style of like videos talking about Bloodborne's story, its lore, the characters, the themes. I could do that, and I probably should as well. I mean, I'm already in production of other videos and stuff like that when it comes to like From Software games, so probably one more won't hurt. But with all that being said and done, I hope all of you guys have enjoyed this video, and I cannot wait to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye for now.